So it's an honor to have all of you guys here. So that being said, this is your chance to ask questions. So it's more of a Q&A than it is a panel. So please, like I said earlier, the more you guys ask questions, the more interesting this will be. And I'm going to kind of stand on the side here to help facilitate and, pick out who's raising their hand and whatnot. So, cool. Here we go. Who's first? Yes. Yeah.
It's a great way to open the conversation. What got each one of you into dancing from the get-go? And then we can build.
I'll jump in.
Okay.
Okay. Well, since just the time of me, since existence, I basically have been around dance. So like, my first experience with dance actually was in the church. I would see visually. I didn't know what was going on, but I felt it. Would see the elders catch what we call the Holy Spirit or the Holy Ghost, right? I don't know if you've ever been to an African American or a black church, but when I come from, I'm talking foot stomping, hand clapping, tongue talking, just like, yeah, it's an energy and it's an experience. So for me, my approach towards dance has always been from a spiritual context. It's always been something was inner that was expressed outwardly. It wasn't like I saw someone do a move or anything like that. It was, try and put a meaning to it if you can, but it was just about that ultimate connection, being one with the creative force, and so that was my first experience growing up, and that's from the time that I was in my mom's tummy. So as I got older, I had two older brothers. My eldest brother, who's 6 years older than me, he was like the influencer in my town. So if there was trends and things being set, it was by him or his crew. He was a part of a crew called MOC, which stood for Masters of Creativity, and they did everything. They rapped, they danced, they had a DJ, and they would wear, jeans with graph on it. He used to force me and my middle brother, who's 3 years older than me, he used to make us battle. That was his entertainment. So like, he would call his friends over, and he would just have us battle, and they would be like, "Oh, he got you," and like, so we were just going back and forth. And really, my context of dance is those two places. Is one, seeing it done in an environment where it was appraised, it was expressing itself, it was about being one with the creative force, and just losing it. When I say bugging out and going off, that was the ultimate going off. You know what I mean? The second context is that the factor of me going against my brother, so this camaraderie, but also just trying to level up each other, and freestyling. And that was how my dance initially, that's how I initially got into dance. And then you have all the other influences, growing up with martial arts and being around just music, funk, soul, gospel, house and hip hop. And that's how I cultivated my movement. So, yeah.
I guess I'll go next. So it's gonna be kind of hard to follow up that one. It's gonna be funny, but I did it for girls. To be straight up honest, I was a wallflower. Like, no one ever noticed me. I never talked. People up until 6th grade, people honestly thought I didn't know how to speak English. That's how bad it was. And I was a terrible dancer. I would see go to junior high dances, and I'm like, oh, I wish I can go into the circle with those guys, and they'll be freestyling, or back then we used to call it flexing, what people would see what like Mop Tops was doing in music videos, and and they would mimic all the moves and stuff in junior high, and I'm just like, oh, I can't do it. So high school came along, then my older sister, she started dating this b-boy, Ami from NSM, New School Movement, North Shore Mafia, whatever name they call it. And then he started showing me stuff, and then I started learning some moves, and then all of a sudden, girls started talking to me, and I'm just like, oh my God, there's something to this. So I started dancing a lot more, and then high school ended. And then if anybody knows, once high school ends, all those dancers that are around you, all those girls around, just gone, disappears. They won't even talk to you because they moved on to frat boys or whatever. So, but the thing is, like, dancing for me always stuck around. It was just something that, you know, like, it kept my mind busy. It kept me athletic. You know, your mind, honestly, you know, this could be a little personal. Your mind can honestly take you some deep, dark places. And dancing helped me from getting away from that. The repetition of it, finding your spirituality in dancing, going to clubs, you know, meeting other people, traveling. It really, that's why I stuck with it, as opposed to a lot of my friends who started with me for the notoriety and to be popular in school. But I kept on going because there was something more to this. That's it.
My first conscious experience with dance was 1973. It was extremely close to my birthday. It was the day before my birthday, and you guys can watch this on YouTube. August 14th, 1973. The Carol Burnett Show. There was a group called the Campbell Lockers.
Yes.
When I saw that, that's when I knew that's what I was. I saw it and I was like, Charles the Robot was doing the robot. Don and them was camel locking. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen as a child. That and Bruce Lee was my two initial, Bruce Lee, Jim Kelly. My initial consciousness of wanting to move and being a part of what that was, whatever that was, and seeing it. Because when you first see it, just like when I first saw graffiti, you don't know what it is. You be like, that's cool, whatever that is. I like that. I want to be a part of that. So since I saw that, being a kid, I mimicked the robot. I mimicked locking. I never saw myself as a kid. I think there's some old footage of some Super 8 films somewhere with me on it as a kid, roboting and locking. But the thing was that I felt it. I saw it, I felt it, I became it. And since then, I had seen due to going to parties, I would see people do the robot, and I would see them do like some locking, and they were doing other dances like Funky Chicken, and breakdown, or things like that. This is like in the 70s, at family parties and community parties. And then I saw Electric Boogaloos in '79 on Soul Train. I thought that was cool. I was like, man, they doing some kind of funky robot. It's like a faster robot, and they do all these different moves. Like, that's cool. So, me being that age, that's like, about 6 years later, I'm just still amazed, and still actually dancing and pretty good at it. And then when I get to school, I'm actually like going against people. This is like 78, 79, and then when 80 came, I said, oh, I'm a popper. So then I became part of the popping community because I was roboting. So then I just added that aspect of what I was doing, and I started popping. And then kind of trying to develop what I was doing. I was asking people and, trying to get my own way. And I battled some people in elementary school, middle school. I remember I had a shirt from junior high school. It was Old Wright Junior High in Los Angeles. And somebody put, "You can't pop," and the other person put, "Keep on popping," so keep on dancing. So I'm like, I can go back. It's just that since then, it's and watching people since I was a kid from the neighborhood, and going to major events like the Radiotron, the original Radiotron, a place called, a production company called Uncle Jam's Army. Now, Uncle Jam's Army, it was thousands of kids there. This is before we knew what hip hop was. They had thousands already. Dr. Dre was there. He had his crew, the Wrecking Crew. They had the LA Dream Team. A lot of the DJs you see now got a lot of their stuff from them back then. And we had 6 turntables. It was we used to play funk. And then when Run DMC came in, this is like '83, and they played a couple of the old rap records Curtis Blow and stuff. And then we got open to what hip hop was. Before that, all it was neighborhood R&B, funk, and gangsters. That's what it was. So if you go to a party, you go to a skating rink. This is all part of what we doing growing up. You're gonna see some gangsters. You're gonna see some fights. Some things gonna break out, and you're still gonna dance. But they would even dance too. So if you're popping, you may get in there with a Crip dude or a Blood dude, depending on what neighborhood you're in, because they didn't go to the same spots. But you would get into it with them. And they respected you, they wouldn't mess with you. So they see you next time, they'd be like, hey, stall homie out, little homie out. He cool, little pop locking too. He cool. You know, so that's, you gotta pass. Mr. Wiggles would say that too about when he was growing up. If you could dance good, the dudes respect you because they respected the dance. And that was part of my growing up. So, there you go.
I have a question actually. In terms of like getting clear and forming distinctions about different styles of dance and all that kind of stuff, how do you feel about that in terms of like the separation that it causes or the debates that it causes? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people saying like, oh, this is hip hop and this isn't hip hop. This choreography is hip hop or this isn't hip hop. So do you think that finding those distinctions like creates authenticity, or does it create people just talking instead of dancing? Or do you think that, you know what I mean? Like, because I've struggled with this personal question, like I want to be authentic, but then sometimes like we're just kind of talking in circles and it's really just creating separation. So I want to hear where you guys feel about the distinction and the order, like what purposes it serves and what you think it doesn't serve, or stuff like that.
I'll jump in.
All right, marinate for a second.
Okay, first off, I guess I'm gonna take it from a approach of learning discipline. Like, things naturally and organically happen. All these dances formed organically. It was natural. And over a period of time, it became systematic, or it became lifestyle, you know. And in doing that, of course, there's certain aesthetics. There's certain aesthetics that are passed down. Like when I talk about seeing the elders catch the Holy Ghost, there was a certain aesthetic and energy that was passed down with seeing that. You know, it was not like sitting this. You know, it was very loose and very open. And so each dance form does have it has a cultural code, I should say, a cultural code, because it comes out of whatever customs and cultures by the people who were doing it. So for instance, you know, like if we look at what makes breaking, what makes it, right? It's like understanding the foundation of breaking, right? That doesn't mean that you can do the move. Doing the move doesn't mean you know foundation.
Right.
Anybody can do the move.
Right.
It's really about the understanding of the concept and how you apply it. So like, if I say top rock and you just show me like an Indian step or a salsa rock, that doesn't mean you're top rocking, right? It's about your energy into that concept. And like, there can be 20 different ways to do an Indian step. There can be 20 different ways to do a salsa rock. But understanding like the categories, the top rock, the transition, the go down, the down rocking, flow, you know, freezes, power moves. And that's just like a very basic bullet point if I say this is what makes up this dance, right? Those are important. Those are very important because again, what you're doing is you're taking something that was done and you're passing on, but you're also giving life to it. And for the street dances, I can only really speak in the street dance, in the urban dance context, because I didn't go to school to study ballet or jazz, you know, but like, in those, it's very important to be around the community because that's how you get it the right way. The community is not YouTube, the community is not a DVD. Those are tools, those can help, but like being around the community, going to the places where they are done, those journeys, those kind of rites of passages are what make you a seasoned dancer in those disciplines. So the distinctions are to me good because they hold the tradition and they hold the foundation, right? There is freedom in that. There's freedom in it all. Like, for instance, my crew phase 2 is is a part of something called the brand new old school movement. And the brand new old school movement is really a mentality. It's not a crew. It's not, it's a school of thought. Okay, so when I talk about school of thoughts, it's just like martial arts schools. You know, some martial arts schools will say, well, we only use open hand techniques. We don't use closed fists, you know, and they'll have their reason as to why. Some people will say we don't kick high above the waist because we find it pointless. You know, it is not effective. So there's these different schools of thoughts, and they exist even within, like, if you say umbrella term popping, you got different schools of thought in popping and breaking, different schools of thought in house, different schools of thought in hip hop, different schools of thought. But at the core root, there's these things that connect them. You know what I mean? Like, so this is one thing I will say that is essential to all of them, is freestyling and battling. I feel you can't call yourself a hip hop dancer unless you do one of the two. Freestyling and battling, that is very essential. That is a core of these forms, right? And that could be any of the dance disciplines that fit under the street, our urban umbrella. It does, to me it's just about, I don't know, passing on that cultural aspect of these dances. Now in terms of like ballet or jazz or choreography, that's just taking and putting, with choreography is just taking those movements and putting it and telling a story or creating a performance with it. You know what I mean? That's the context of it. I think that, you know, that it, like a lot of people group choreographers and studio dancers in kind of a place, but that's like a product of it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you know how to do the dance, you can create choreography.